Trips at the bottom. Bo Nix rolling to his right. Now he's got time to throw. Across his body, it dangles in the air to Franklin. Touchdown, Oregon!
Getting to work with Nix. This pass, beautiful. And it's Troy Franklin. Look at that speed. Phil Knight has already signed him up.
To Nix to the end zone. And it's into the arms of Troy Franklin. Touchdown, Oregon!
I'm Alex Johnson. This is Yards Per Fantasy, and today we're talking Oregon wide receiver Troy Franklin. We're going to dive into his background and college career, discuss the positives and negatives in his prospect profile, try to determine his dynasty value, and if and where you should target him in your rookie drafts. Troy Franklin, he's a wide receiver out of Oregon. He's a junior. He's 21 years old. He's listed at 6'3", 187 pounds. Troy Franklin began his football journey in California. And in high school there, he played offense, defense, and he returned kicks. And despite not having a senior season due to COVID, Franklin ended his high school career with 102 receptions, 1,790 receiving yards, and 34 total touchdowns. It was enough to earn a 4-star recruiting grade as part of the 2021 recruiting class. He was ranked as the number 3 wide receiver in the nation by 247 Sports and the number 36 overall player. Troy Franklin received offers from major programs like Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss, just to name a few. He ultimately ended up landing in Oregon. As a true freshman in 2021, Franklin appeared in all 14 games and he caught 18 passes for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. He became the team's top option in 2022, hauling in 61 receptions for 891 yards and 9 touchdowns while playing in 12 games. He received second team All Pac-12 honors for that performance. Troy Franklin continued to elevate his game in his 2023 junior season. He amassed a team-high 1,383 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns on 81 receptions. And he was subsequently named first team all-conference. So let's talk about the positives, the things that we like in Troy Franklin's profile. The first is he has elite speed. I expect he's going to run somewhere between 4.35 to the low 4.4s at the NFL Combine. That is blazing fast, especially for a 6'3 guy. He's a good route runner, maybe not elite, but he's far more than just a vertical guy. He has some technical route running skills in the underneath areas as well. He's a good ball tracker. He's got alignment versatility. He can line up all over the field, which will help keep defenses on their toes. You have to know where a guy like this is on the field at all times. Otherwise, he will kill you with that speed. Troy Franklin possesses a variety of release tactics. He's also good after the catch. Now, he's good, not great, but he's still good. But if you let him get in space, he's gonna be gone in a second. He averaged 6.2 receptions per game. That's really good. The threshold I look for like an elite level is 6. He also had an age 19 breakout, which came in his sophomore season. We like guys with a breakout age of 18, 19, 20 years old, because at that point, they're still developing. They're developing their game in mechanics, techniques, understanding coverages, etc. But they're also still growing into their bodies, going through the college level workouts and training programs, and yet they are still winning versus 21, 22, 23-year-olds. And I mean that by on the opposing team as well as beating out players on their own team for starting positions and target volume. And speaking of age, Troy Franklin is going to be 21 years old for the entirety of his rookie season. On the negative side, Troy Franklin has somewhat of a thin frame. He's somewhere in that 185 to 190 pound range, but he's tall, so he's a bit lanky. Not really a huge concern though. But that size can come into play versus press coverage, where he does tend to struggle at times, and that will become more difficult at the NFL level. He also struggles to catch passes in traffic and in contested catch situations. Troy Franklin had just a 29% dominator rating. Dominator rating measures how much of the passing offense the wide receiver accounted for. We look at things like dominator rating because it cuts out the style of the offense and the quality of quarterback play, which can vary greatly from team to team at the college level. So while Troy Franklin's raw counting stats are super impressive, Oregon was one of the highest passing volume teams in college football. That skews the numbers a bit when comparing against other prospects. Franklin's actual share of the passing offense was not nearly as impressive. A 30% dominator rating is the baseline of good for what I'm looking for. He falls just below that threshold. And then finally, he had 0 career rush attempts and 0 career kick or punt returns. I've talked about this before, but I always like to see wide receivers who get involved as returners or who receive carries on offense. It lets us know that the coaches have identified this player as one of the team's top playmakers, and they want to get the ball in his hands in as many ways as possible. For me, it's more of a reward in my evaluation process for the guys who do check this box rather than a punishment for the guys who don't. But it is something I look at, so I figured I would mention it here. But before we get into my NFL comp and my draft projection for Troy Franklin, I just want to make you aware that if you want to get your hands on some Troy Franklin shares, you don't have to wait until your rookie drafts. Underdog Fantasy makes it possible to draft these rookies right now. Go draft some Troy Franklin. Go draft some Marvin Harrison Jr. or Brock Bowers. And when you sign up for Underdog, use promo code YARDSPER to get a $100 deposit match. I'm already drafting 2024 teams, so I'll probably see you in a draft room. The archetype for Troy Franklin, he's a speed wide receiver. Now, he's probably a little bit more than your typical speed wide receiver. He brings more to the game than just speed, but his game is going to be centered around his wheels. My NFL comp for him is Justin Hunter. Justin Hunter was an early second-round pick for the Titans back in 2013. Now, he was a bust. I don't expect that from Troy Franklin, but they have similar body types and play styles. Go watch some Troy Franklin highlights and then piggyback that with some Justin Hunter Titans highlights. And let me know what you think of that comp and who yours would be. And my draft projection for Troy Franklin is the late first round. I expect him to probably come off the board between pick 25 and then the early 30s, somewhere in that range. The bottom line is Troy Franklin is one of the fastest wide receivers in the 2024 NFL draft class. He has no trouble getting open deep or outrunning defenders after the catch. While his game is built around that speed, Troy Franklin is more than just a burner who only runs straight lines down the field. He is a quality route runner with a great feel for defenses and finding ways to get himself open in the short and intermediate areas of the field as well. He uses a variety of effective release tactics to get off the line quickly and into his routes. With a little bit of a slim frame, Troy Franklin does tend to get thrown off by physical defenders in press coverage. He's also not known for winning in traffic in contested catch situations. And while he's good at tracking the ball down the field, Troy Franklin does have a tendency to let the ball come to him rather than meeting it at its highest point. This opens it up to be played by the defender and leaves potential chunk plays on the field. Troy Franklin projects as a high-end wide receiver 2 in the NFL. He will primarily line up as Z with some looks in the slot as well. Teams will be apt to put him in motion to help him avoid contact at the line of scrimmage and to fully take advantage of his speed threat, both vertically and horizontally across the defense. While his somewhat slender frame will limit him in some areas, it's less of a concern in today's NFL after seeing guys like Devontae Smith, Tank Dell, and Jordan Addison, and others have such immediate success in the NFL. And that will also give NFL teams confidence to call his name as early as the first round. And like I said before, Franklin is likely to come off the board sometime between picks 25 and 40, hopefully to a team looking to add an outside playmaker for a big-armed quarterback. In Dynasty, he's absolutely in consideration beginning as early as like pick 8 or 9 in a single quarterback rookie draft.